The third issue of the comic book series Star Wars Dark Empire introduced new starships as part of the early publications of Star Wars Expanded Universe way back in 1991. But a new Imperial vessel covered in the comics was the Allegiance, and was seen with standard Imperial Star Destroyers in issue 3 of Dark Empire. It was notably referred to as a Super Star Destroyer, but did actually closely resemble an Imperial-class Star Destroyer in appearance, but simply a bigger and more powerful version. But in terms of the Star Wars story, the Allegiance class was commissioned into Imperial Navy service at the twilight of Palpatine's Imperial era in 3 ABY. 3 Allegiance Class Battlecruisers were known to be around during the Galactic Civil War, and later they joined Darth Vader's Death Squadron under the command of Admiral Ozzel and Captain Piet in search of the Rebellion's hidden base. The third Allegiance ship is to the right and in close proximity to Firmus Piet, and Kendall Ozzel is facing away. Visible are the outermost dorsal batteries on the port side of the vessel. However, it was not until during the era of the reborn Palpatine's Dark Empire were more built at the secret Deep Core Fleet Yard orbiting the planet Biss. These new ships phased out older command ships and battlecruisers. A total of only 11 were commissioned during this period, as precious resources and personnel had been redeployed, causing a halt to production. These Allegiance-class vessels were added to the Imperial Defense Fleet orbiting the planet Biss in 10 ABY. Although the Allegiance class was known as a battlecruiser, its recognisable wedge-shaped design closely belonged to the Star Destroyer family. But essentially it was a seriously powerful version of the Imperial II-Class Star Destroyer with many identical components. At a length of 2,200 metres, it was larger than all Star Destroyer classes in Emperor Palpatine's Imperial Navy, but still around 5,000 metres smaller than an Imperial Bellator-class dreadnought. Unlike many other Imperial warship classes, the Allegiance class lacked ventral hangar bays and was similar to the fellow Procussator and Tector classes, relying upon its own exterior weaponry as the ship was unable to carry starfighters or ground vehicles internally, and so its role to the Imperial Navy was to supplement fleets as a heavy Star Destroyer, but also fulfilled roles as a command ship, a communication ship, or even a powerful escort or patrol vessel. The dorsal superstructure that surrounded the Allegiance bridge tower contained a much more extensive array of decks, layered in a less steep angle to those of an Imperial class, allowing for better armour coverage and less exposure to internal plate surfaces. Using the Imperial Class II as a comparison vessel, the standard armaments of an Allegiance class included 12 gun batteries, 6 along the port side and 6 along the starboard side, 3 XL Dew heavy turbolaser batteries along the dorsal superstructure, 6 trench gun batteries, 3 along the port side and 3 along the starboard side, and these powerful weapons were used by the ship commanders for ship-to-ship combat and orbital bombardment. For the Imperial-class SD, none of these huge laser cannons existed, which would have inflicted heavy damage to rebel capital ships with devastating results. The remaining armaments of the Allegiance class were supplementary and spaced out along the port, starboard, bow and stern. These included 80 heavy turbolaser batteries, 50 heavy turbolaser cannons, 50 ion cannons, 20 warhead launchers, and 15 tractor beam projectors. The Imperial class held a similar number of turbolasers and ion cannons, but was completely outgunned when it came to overall destructive firepower. These large wedge fortresses with heavy armoured plating held a shield rating of 7,200 SBD. As for all Star Wars ships, it indicated the measuring value for how much damage the vessel could withstand before the hull began to take damage. Compared to all but one of the Star Destroyer classes, the Soranen class, the Allegiance class shield rating was able to endure sustained combat for much longer than, for example, an Imperial I or Imperial class Star Destroyer. Working in conjunction with the shield rating of a vessel, the hull rating of 4095 RU was significantly greater than all Star Destroyer classes, apart from again the Soranen class SD, which held an improved shield rating and hull rating. The propulsion systems of an Allegiance class SD were also good in terms of its Class 1 hyperdrive capability, allowing these vessels to reach their destinations in half the time of an Imperial Class 2 SD. However, similar to the Victory class SD's sublight speed, the Allegiance class megalight per hour of 10 was actually one of the slowest as a type of Star Destroyer, but this would have been mainly due to its size compared to smaller vessels in its ship design family and of course cruisers and starfighters. The vessel's 3 main thrusters and 4 auxiliary thrusters matched the design of an Imperial class, although they appeared larger to obviously compensate for its weight. On board, the Allegiance class consisted of up to a maximum of 46,800 metric tons of cargo capacity. and the required optimal crew to operate the vessel was 51,000 officers, enlisted, and gunners, and transported up to 5,500 troopers. Although these vessels lacked the larger hangar bays required for fighters, bombers, freighters, or even small cruisers, a small hangar bay on the forward ventral side could accommodate shuttles and small personal transports to board. The Allegiance class's external systems included most of the usual Imperial-class crucial defensive and offensive capabilities. For example, the communications tower located on top of the vessel's conning tower was the same. Also, the two deflector shield generator globes on either side projected both ray and particle shields. The vessel's ion and turbo laser targeting systems were also situated in the same areas of the superstructure. A prominent feature of the Allegiance class was its larger sized ventral reactor core, which housed a massive solar ionized reactor and used hypermatter to generate the power required to operate its massive array of weapons and onboard systems. However, the command module was similar to those of the smaller Star Destroyer classes, but the main hull was 600 meters longer than the Imperial I and II classes of Star Destroyer. Another noticeable difference in its appearance was the extra layers of multiple compartments and decks surrounding the conning tower. These areas of the ship would have housed huge numbers of enlisted crew in terms of living and combat quarters, as well as operating stations for the ship's onboard functions. Moving towards the back of the conning tower section housed a much larger system controls area than the Imperial-class Star Destroyer. This must have been due to the increased system functions to monitor and respond to by the enlisted technicians and junior officers. One thing was for sure, this class of the Imperial Navy was a serious match for the Rebellion and later the New Republic, due to its powerful weaponry which was capable of exchanging fire with the large New Republic warships such as the Mon Calamari cruiser. In 10 ABY, the Battle Calamari, an Allegiance Class Battlecruiser, served as a command and a communications ship for the invasion fleet at Dak. It transmitted images back to the command centre on Biss. A New Republic task force led by General Lando Calrissian intercepted the transmissions while in hyperspace transit to the system and located their origin. As the Imperial fleet jumped out of hyperspace with their shields still down, Calrissian ordered all ships to bombard the Allegiance Class Battlecruiser and its Procurator class escorts, destroying all the Imperial vessels. Following the strike, Calrissian's fleet passed the wreckage of the Allegiance and began landing their airspeed reinforcements. Following the New Republic victory at Dak, two Allegiance class battlecruisers escorted Palpatine's flagship, the Dreadnought Eclipse, as it travelled to the Syx system to confront the New Republic leaders. In 10 ABY, an Allegiance battlecruiser of the class later participated in the Battle of the Emperor's Citadel, which was a failed attempt by a New Republic strike team to infiltrate Biss and topple Palpatine. By the time of the Second Galactic Civil War in 137 ABY, any ships of the Allegiance class had presumably all been destroyed or retired, as both the Galactic Federation of Free Alliances and the Fell Empire opted for small and less expensive naval ship designs. That's all for this video. For more Imperial Explained videos, please give a like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and as always, long live the Empire!